Hey, good morning, kids. So hopefully this is the last of the videos as I round out my quarantine. So you should have received this copy from the guest teacher. I think Mrs. McCon or Mrs. Rooker had printed it off. So we are looking at linear relationships, and your learning target is I will be able to write and interpret linear relationships. So good news is we studied all of this in chapter 4 and 5 and our systems of linear equations. And so all of this should be review. So with that being said, you're going to have to really push through those cobwebs that formed over holiday break, right? And follow along with me here. So here's example 1. So we're going to look at this equation here that is graphed, and we're going to write the equation that matches this line. So we've done this before, right? So it should be easy peasy. All right, so before we begin though, we need to remember that a linear function can be written in the form of y equals mx plus b, where m, remember, is the slope and b is the y-intercept. Okay, is that sounding familiar? Hopefully so. Okay, so we're going to pick any 2 points on here, and I'm going to pick these 2 points here, this y, where y is 3, x is 4, and here 0.20, okay? So remember m is going to be the change in y over the change in x. Yeah, that'll look familiar. Okay, so I'm picking those 2 points I just mentioned. And let me make sure my camera can see. Yep, still can see me. Okay, so I'm going to put in here, this is the x, right? This is the y. X, this is y. Just so remember what we're getting. And you can pick, doesn't matter which one you pick as 1 and 2, right? Because it's going to be the same thing. All right, so y2 is 0, y1 is 3, x2 is 2, x1 is 4. So we have negative 3 over negative 2. And a negative over negative makes a positive. So our slope is 3 over 2. 3 over 2. Okay. So if we put that in for m in our y-intercept slope form, we can write the linear equation, or in this section, they're calling it the linear function that relates to this graph, okay? So we have y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to put in my m, which is right here, 3/2 x. Now, where does this line cross the y-axis? It crosses it at -3. So then I just put in -3. And so now look at this. I have written the linear relationship, or written the linear equation that matches this line. Okay, so easy peasy, lemon squeezy, we've done this before. Okay, so now example 2. Writing a linear function using a table. So this table here, these are just points. This is x, y. These would be the ordered pairs, okay? They have been graphed right here already for you. So in your practice, you will be given a table, and then you're going to have to plot the points. But yay, it's been done for you in this example, so we can have more time to look at writing the equation. Okay, so again, same thing, y equals mx plus b. So we're going to take a little bit of a shortcut. So rise over run, right? So I rise, how many? From here to here. It was 2, yes? So m equals rise over run. So that's a positive 2. And then run, It was a -1. We went back -1, -1. Okay, so our m is really -2. So without using the graph, if we were not to graph this, we would just find the change in y over the change in x like we did up here. And I just want to show you end up with the same thing. So if I did, let's say I take these 2 points here, okay? So I'm going to change in y, 7 minus 2, and then -2 minus -3. We have -2 over, remember this is keep, change, plus. So then I have -2 plus 3, that's just uno, that's 1, and that simplifies to -2. So notice if I used the graph or I did some math without having the graph, I'd still get m as -2. All right, so y equals -2x plus, okay, where does the line cross the y-axis? And it's at 3, so it's a +3 plus 3. And notice from the table, we actually see it is on here. Sometimes the table will not show it, but then once you graph it, you'll see that it goes through 0, 3. But in this table, you could see, right, where 0 or where x is 0, that is the y-intercept. Okay, so then we have now written the linear function, aka the linear equation that matches the line. Okay, so all of this is prior knowledge. We're just giving it a different name to it. It's a linear function, but it's the same thing. Okay, so on to the back of this sheet. I printed off 3 sheets on my printer here at home. Okay, so you're going to try it. Here's your table, right? You can pause and give it a go or just follow along with me. So right here, I see that, ooh, that's B. That is the y-intercept. I don't even have to graph it. You could graph it, but I don't have to. I can just do math. That's always fun. So m equals change in y and change over the change in x. So 2 minus 2 over, okay, so already we can see that the slope is going to be 0, but we're going to keep going. So 2 minus 2, -1 minus -2, keep, change, boop, boop. So we have 0 over uno, which that is just 0. So it's okay that the slope is 0. So what does that mean? Oh, we have a horizontal line, right? And it goes through 2. It's going through 2. So if you can imagine, right, if I were to sketch my line, 1, 2, the line is going through 2. So it's a horizontal line. Okay, this is x, this is y, that's my line. All right, so writing the linear function, excuse me, y equals mx plus v. If we put in 0 here for x plus y-intercept is 2, y equals 2 is the linear function that relates to this table. Makes sense? Okay, moving on. So interpreting a linear function. So I have mostly copied the entire example 3, so that way you wouldn't be bogged down with the details of writing and copying, but we can just read it and look at what it's talking about here. So an unmanned aerial vehicle, apparently is a UAV, is used for surveillance. Maybe a drone, right? That would be an example of that, I suppose. I don't know. I'm not that sciencey or technology. The table shows the height, y, right here, of this UAV after so many minutes, after it begins to descend from cruising altitude. So it was hovering, right? If we say this is the ground, and it was doing its thing up here, right? And then after so many minutes, it's now going to land on the ground. Yeah, looks like a 5-year-old's sketch of the sun. Okay, anyway, so do we understand? We can see, right? So after 10 minutes, it drops down 5 feet. Another 10 minutes, drops down another 5 feet. Okay, so we can see that it's descending after so many minutes, and it's, at the constant rate of 5 feet per 10 minutes. Okay, so it says write and graph a linear function that relates y to x. Okay, fine. So the table shows a constant rate of change. So you can write a linear function that relates the dependent variable y to the independent variable. So the independent variable is the time. The height of this UAV depends on how much time has passed. So that's very understandable. Okay, so the point 0.065 right here indicates the height it started at. So if you do your change in y over the change in x, okay, that makes sense. We could see that just from the graph. So it's changing here 1/2 foot per minute. Excuse me, that's what that is, okay? Feet per minute. So if we want to label this, that is the unit rate. All right, so the linear function is negative 0.5x, right? Because that's the slope, that's b. I'm sorry, that's m, plus b, that's the y-intercept. Okay, so plot the points in the table and draw a line through the points. That's nice. Okay, so it says interpret the slope and the y-intercept. So kind of just talking out loud, we've already done that. So the b equals the starting height of the UAV. I'm going to say it's a drone. And then the intercept, no, I'm sorry, that is the intercept. The slope is the change in height per minute. Now you may ask, okay, well, how do we know that? Well, m literally is the change in y over the change in x. Yes? Yeah, we know that. Well, what is y? We are told y is the height in feet. Height in feet. And we are told that x is the minutes. So if slope is the change in these things, then that means that the slope is the change in height per minute. So nothing mind-blowing here. We literally are just using what we are given. We know what the slope is. So that is what interpreting the slope is. Just looking at what your y and x is and finding it per whatever x is. Okay, so in this case, it was the height per minute. So that should not be too difficult. Okay, easy peasy lemon squeezy, yes? All right, so we're gonna try one more and then you guys can try this all on your own. I don't think I need to remind you, but I will. Remember to pause and go back as often as you need to. Okay, so now this is similar to example 3, but we're gonna do more of the work rather than just read through it. So the cost y in dollars of buying X cubic yards of mulch from company A, including a one-time shipping fee, is represented by the linear function y equals 29x plus 30. So if we were to think about this, this is the one-time fee, $30, and look how much they're charging per cubic yard. So if I buy 1 cubic yard of mulch, how much are they going to charge me? $29. 2, it's going to be double that. Okay, so $58. All right, the table shows the cost, including a one-time shipping fee, of buying mulch from company B. So we're going to label this. This is company B. Which company charges more per cubic yard of mulch? How much more? Okay. So I want to know how much the mulch cost per cubic yard. Mulch per cubic yard. So cost per cubic yard. Change in Y over the change in X. Oh, I'm looking for the slope. Okay. The one-time shipping fee, I'm not going to be worrying about it. I want to just compare the cost of the mulch I'm going to be charged. That's what it asks. Which company charges more per cubic yard of mulch? Okay, so you are given the functions that represent the cost of buying mulch from 2 different companies. One, company A, has given this to you. Company A. Company B has told you this is what they charge, right? So I'm hoping that pretty quickly, right away, without really having to do much math, you see that company B is charging more. But maybe not, right? Because this says it includes that one-time fee. So we're going to figure out what the cost is per yard by finding the slope, okay? So I've already discussed all this, but I'll just reread it to you. You are given functions that represent the cost of buying mulch from 2 different companies. You are asked to determine which company charges more per cubic yard of mulch and how much more it charges. I already told you what the table shows, and then the cost of company A is represented by this right here. Okay, so we're going to find and compare the slope. So we're going to set up company A. And we know that the M is equal to $29 per cubic yard. Okay, cubic yard. Okay, so let's look at then company B. So change in X over the change in Y, right? So we're going to go $48.50 minus $82 all over, go back to X, change in X, 1 minus 2. So remember, right here, this is where I got this from. I didn't just pull those numbers out of nowhere. So I did change in Y. So I decided to go from 48.50 minus this. Then if I'm comparing the X's, or actually subtracting them, it's 1 minus 2. Okay? So this right here is an ordered pair, and this is an ordered pair. If you need to rewrite it as an ordered pair just because visually that makes more sense to you, then do that. Okay, so there's the ordered pairs. So I just subtracted. Okay, so now I have negative. Oh, great, and I don't have a calculator with me. Let's see, can we do that in our heads? I don't even know. 50 cents to 49. So 49 to 82 would be 23. 23.50? Yeah, 23.50. Okay, so 23.50 all over -1, right? Because and then if you need to, keep change. So negative over negative is 23.50. 23.50. Oh, so when we compare these 2 points of data, and remember that one-time fee is figured in there. So it looks like they're just charging $23.50 per yard. $23.50 per 1 yard, cubic yard. So which company is charging less, actually, per yard? Company B is charging less per yard. All right, so then the question says, well, how much less per yard are they charging? So what do you think you got to do? What do you think you have to do? And it looks like my math is wrong. It's 30, not 23, it's 33. Oh my goodness. And I'm sure lots of you are sitting there on the other end of this video going, yeah, that's what I thought too. So nice work. Thank you for correcting me. Okay, so $33.50. Okay, so which company is charging more? Company B is. All right, not Company A. Company B is charging more. So by how much more are they charging per cubic yard? So you just take the difference between these two. So $33.50 minus 29. So $4.50. Company A, JK, Company B is charging $4.50 more per cubic yard of mulch. And let me just make sure you guys can see all that. Okay. All right, so I know it's been a long video. Thank you for sticking with me. Again, if you need to go back and rewatch anything, remember to go ahead and email me. I will see you guys on Monday. All right, have a great weekend. Take care.